What's up, y'all? Good morning. I want to come on here again. I posted on my stories a little bit about some of the statistics, of the overweight, obese population in America, not only for us adults, but also our children. And that's where, obviously, you're supposed to be considered an adult because that means you take responsibility. So we've already talked about that, but I feel compelled to talk about this openly again because of our children. Our children are a product of their environment, and so if we're putting them in a unhealthy environment and we're making our kids grow up sick and unhealthy, and type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes, meaning that most people, they weren't really seeing it until they were in like their 50s, 60s or older, if that. And now there's children starting to see it, in their teens, even some younger than that, or people seeing it pre-diabetic in their 20s, 30s. So big problem. So the reason I want to bring this up, not just complain about the problem, but talk about some solutions, because at the end of the day, I'm not someone that just complains. I like to isolate a problem and then hey, let's figure it out. We're all human. So when it comes to the weight loss thing, I'll use myself as an example. I've done different intentional bulking periods where I've got up to 190 pounds purposely, but also kind of doing it the wrong way, eating bullshit. And so, me getting up that weight and then starting to drop weight, it can be challenging for sure. But two things that make it very easy for me is, one is all my weight loss, or not all, majority of my weight loss clients, including myself, because I'm a practitioner, I don't just talk, is intermittent fasting. And it doesn't matter if it's a 16-8, 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window, or if it's a 18-6, 18-hour fast, 6-hour eating window with 24, 20-hour fast, 4-hour eating window. It doesn't matter which one it is, right? I like to start people a little light, but by us reducing meal frequency and snacking and having time restricted eating, that actually tells that overweight, obese person that has to lose weight, it tells them, hey, it's time to eat, it's time to stop eating, right? If you're doing like a 16-8, you eat between the hours of, let's say, 11 and 7, which I really like that one for beginners, is you're basically just skipping breakfast, you're having lunch, you're having dinner, and if you need, depending on how far apart those two are, if you need a light snack in between, you can have a snack in between. But what that does is that cuts us off from the mindless eating, the mindless snacking, and throwing in so much food, processed foods, into that diet. So when we're trying to lose weight, one, that helps us with portion control and meal frequency. So that's already going to reduce your calorie intake. Easiest way to do it. It doesn't matter if you're doing keto, carnivore, paleo, 40-30-30, it doesn't matter what type of macro split you're doing. But by you doing that and eating majority whole foods, you will get full and satisfied, satiated, so you're not going to want to eat anymore, right? That's the best place I like to put people in a weight loss phase. Is we normally do about 3 to 4 months of fat loss. Depending on the person, we'll do it multiple times. Like if they have 100 pounds to lose, then we'll do that, a couple times, few times. If they have 30 pounds to lose, we'll just do it once. But when we're doing this cutting phase, we're doing it to drop weight, but also be satisfied. We shouldn't feel hungry. It shouldn't feel like a diet, right? A lot of, we want to take the word diet, and we're just being in a caloric deficit where our body's burning more calories than what we're consuming. But if we're eating more whole foods, then we're going to stay satisfied longer. So meaning you're not going to feel hungry all the time. If I ate 2,000 calories worth of animal meat, fruits, vegetables, avocado, that's a lot of food. Now, if I go to Whataburger, McDonald's, I get 2,000 calories of whatever, Big Mac, fries, and a Coke, I'm still going to be hungry. So it's like when we think of it differently that way, we're playing to win now. The other way, the fast food route, the processed food route, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Like I remember when I was a kid, when I first started like looking into nutrition was in high school. And so, I used to be one of those kids, my mom would get mad at me. She'd go to the grocery store, buy groceries, whatever. And I don't know if y'all remember the Hot Pockets. So the pepperoni or ham and cheese, those are my favorite. So I'd get those, and I would, a box of 4, I'd finish a whole box, like right after school, all 4. And my mom would be like, that's supposed to be one for each one of y'all. And I'm like, I was hungry. It's almost like you start eating that stuff, and then it's hard to stop eating, and you look at those things are loaded in calories. Or I remember, I'd go to Little Caesars, right? You got your $5 hot and ready pizza. Dude, I used to be able to eat a whole pizza. Minimum half of that pizza I would eat in one sitting. Sometimes, depending on if I came from like baseball practice or something, I can eat a whole pizza. But when I started adding fruits into my diet, and even just simple stuff like sandwiches, I started adding in, fruit and sandwiches into my diet, and I just noticed I started leaning up, had more energy in school. I wasn't falling asleep all the time. I was starting to see my abs come in. I had dropped like 10 pounds of body fat within like a month. It was great because I was exercising a lot too for sports. And I didn't feel like I was starving myself, so the trick is, let's not eat all day, right? Give yourself a time when you close the kitchen, right? Close your mouth. There's a time when you don't eat food, right? Discipline yourself. You don't need to eat sugar every second you're awake, right? We're not addicts, or let's not act like addicts. And if you do feel that way, then you can message me. There's a way to overcome that. You don't have to be there. You don't have to be there forever. But yeah, having some time restricted eating, moving more towards whole foods, getting some movement in. Got a backpack on, right? My other backpack tore, but I got 15 pounds in this backpack, and so I'm walking. I normally do about 2 to 3 miles in the morning. If I can't do it in the morning, I'll do it sometime in the day. And then total steps, I'm normally around 8 to 10,000 steps a day. Sometimes more, but normally around 8 to 10,000 steps a day. That keeps my metabolism high, helps me burn enough calories for what I'm trying to do. That way, this doesn't even include my weightlifting. I lift 4 days a week, but this allows me to eat a good amount of food. When I go to Subway, I get the foot long. When I go to Chipotle, I get the double meat. On the bowls, I add the avocado, I add the sour cream, I add all that good stuff, right? So by you moving more, you can consume more. And if you're eating more whole foods, then you're going to be satisfied with that more whole foods. You're going to be more satiated with those higher calories. With that higher quantity of food, which is lower in calories. So reason I'm saying all this is we don't have to live overweight or obese forever. It takes time, right? If you've been I always tell people, if you've been overweight or obese for and you've held that weight for over 3 to 5 years, it's gonna take some time, right? You're not gonna get it off in 3 months. Might take you a year, but what's a year in the grand scheme of things, right? If you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, all of this is to set you up for the rest of your life, And not only that, but for your kids. If you have kids that are overweight, don't beat them up and running and workouts, and you have to get on a diet. Practice what you preach. If you're a parent, do your part. You know what I mean? If you're gonna ask them to work out, you go work out with them. If you're gonna ask them to change the way they eat, you go change the way you eat. The kids are only gonna follow what you do, not what you say. Peace.